What's up, everyone? I hope you're having the most amazing of days. So, I wanted to come on here today and speak with you about something that actually came up very organically in a mastermind call that I was a part of yesterday. And it was around kind of my message and speaking very authentically and super genuinely from the heart. And what came up for me was about how I have learned to care super deeply while simultaneously not giving a fuck. And that's what I wanted to hop on here and speak with you about today, because I believe that there are a lot of people out there who will benefit from this message. And I know that already there are many of you that are like, oh, this girl is not for me. And I'm okay with that. And for those of you that are staying, that are here right now still listening to this message, I just want to share with you a little bit about my background and how I kind of ended up in this space, because this is very new for me. It's actually not a place that I was in or a space that I occupied until very recently. So my name, for those of you that don't know me, is Michelle Moore, and I'm a neurotransformational coach. I'm a speaker, a teacher, a trainer, and I'm so passionate about just our subconscious minds and why it is that we do the things that we do, why we don't do the things that we don't do, and about quieting the inner judger that I think we pretty much all have, so that we can move forward boldly and courageously into fully embodying our authentic selves and feeling free to like unleash that person and let him or her come out and play. And that's my dog, Abby, that you hear barking in the background. I don't know if any of you have dogs or you have children, and sometimes they behave really, really well. And other times they have moments like this. And I even asked Abby, I literally sat down with her before this training today. And I asked her, I was like, hey, listen, I'm going to get on YouTube. Can you please just be quiet for me for the duration of this? And she obviously doesn't care. And I love that about her. And I think that it's appropriate for this message today. So how to care deeply, because I know that Abby loves me so very much. That's my girl, right? How to care deeply and simultaneously not give a fuck. And what I am coming to learn is that it's not that you care, not that you don't care at all, but that you care more about something else. So let's use Abby as an example, since she's making herself very known in this moment. So she doesn't not care about me. She just cares about what's outside behind the blinds more. And I think that that's what happens in our own lives and with our own purpose, right? It's not that for me, I don't care about what other people think. It's that I care about my mission and my purpose and my assignment on this planet more. Those things are more important to me. So it's not that I don't want to consider your feelings or think about you and your desires and your interests and what is important to you. It's that for me, I care about what makes me happy more. And like I said already, this is a revelation for me that's new. And when I say new, like this is, what's the date? February, I'm looking for my planner, February 7th. This is a realization that's like end of January, beginning of February. So this is not a shift that I've sat with for a super long time. What happened for me is that I had to get rid of the internal dialogue and the internal judgments that were holding me back. I had to really silence that and kind of kick that voice out of my head so that I could move forward in a way that is more authentic and more courageous and more unapologetic. man, I spent so much time living an apology. I spent so much time and so much energy in this space of second guessing and of relying on external validation. And you're telling me that I am enough so that I could feel whole and actually feel complete. I mean, that was how I lived the majority of my life. And, you know, I say this when I share my story. It's not as if one day, would you hold on 1 minute? Because at this point, I feel like she's gotten herself heard. So hold, please. Um, it's not as if I was kind of sat down one day by like my mom or my dad and taught like, hey, listen, you need to really care about what other people think about you. You need to concern yourself with their judgments. You need to base your life around what makes other people happy. Like no one had that conversation with me. It's just kind of what I picked up along the way, you know? I just sort of learned, I don't know, by like observation, like most children do. I just learned what in my mind made sense as far as attention equaling love, and about the importance of getting that attention and the importance of getting approval from other people. And I learned that other people's opinions of me were very important. And I learned to dress in a way that, you know, made other people feel comfortable. And I learned that being different, you know, wasn't really that great. I spent a lot of time in performance type of industries, and I had a small, like very brief stint in the beauty pageant world. And, you know, I was in college and theater and dance and in high school and choir and in band. And so much of that was performance based. And there was a lot of judgment around how I looked and my image. And I don't say that to say that anybody like put that on me. I created it, right? In my mind, this is what was happening for me internally. It's not anything that, you know, I never heard like, hey, like, you're ugly, you're not going to be successful. But I did sort of pick those things up along the way. And I just learned to, really put a lot of value in what other people thought of me. And I began to perform for their applause. And I didn't even realize consciously that I was doing it. And the problem with that, and as somebody with a theater background, like I think it's beautiful, right? To receive that applause. But the problem is not enjoying it. The problem is depending on it. And if you're in that space where you are solely and completely dependent on that applause, then you can become super unstable, and you can become, it's almost like, are y'all familiar with pinball, right? And you pull the thing back and then it shoots the ball out, and then the ball just kind of bounces right over here and then over here and then up here, and then you hit it and it goes over this way. And when you're completely and totally dependent upon everyone else for validation and for approval, and there's no checking in with self, then you're just like the pinball and you're bouncing all around. And ultimately you're going to lose. And it's never enough. And that's what I wanted to share with you today, is that if your brain is like how mine was, what ends up happening so many times is that we have this not enough story. You know, we feel like we can't win. We feel like we're not good enough. And I'm I'm here to tell you today, you can hold on to that story. I give you 100% permission to hold on to the story of not being enough as long as you have an end date. And here's what I mean by that. As long as you have a not enough until these things happen specifically. Because if you don't have a end to your not enough story, then ultimately what is going to happen is you're just going to keep moving back the finish line. You're just going to keep having this like, well, I mean, I lost 5 pounds, but it wasn't 10 pounds. Or I lost 10 pounds, but it wasn't 20 pounds. And then it'll be, I lost 20 pounds, but it wasn't 50 pounds. And you'll literally, like, you'll just keep moving the finish line back. So if you want to hold on to that story, it's totally fine to do so. But I want you to have an end. I want you to have a moment where you're like, okay, I'm done. Now, here's what I know. And this is from my own personal experience. Nothing external is going to make you feel whole and complete. So you can play that game that I just mentioned. I'm totally fine. I'll be here to support you. And I hope that it all works out for you. But ultimately, and this is, I can only teach what I know. The truth for me is that none of those external things made a crap load of difference when it came to how I felt inside. I remember there was a moment I used to be in direct sales, and there was a moment where I had achieved one of the highest recognitions and celebrations in our company at our annual seminar. And I was being celebrated, and I was miserable and unhappy before going on the stage. And when I got back to my room that night, I just cried, and I still felt insignificant. And I remember being not just sad, but angry, because it was as if everything that I had banked on, right? Like, oh, I'll be enough when I achieve this rank, right? When I've worked hard enough to achieve this thing, that's when I'll I'll have made it, I'll be enough. And when I got to that moment, nothing. And I remember feeling like, what the fuck? Like, now what? Because everything that I had believed to be the answer was given to me, and it still didn't fix the problem. And it's simply because I had the kind of telescope pointed at the wrong thing, right? I had the magnifying glass highlighting the tangible goals, the things that other people had told me I should want, instead of inward on me. And so my invitation to you, if beginning a journey of deeply caring about others, wanting to serve others, wanting to show up for people, wanting to be the best and most clean and clear, authentic version of yourself for the benefit of others, to love others, to just shine your incredible light on this world while simultaneously not giving a fuck, is to shut out the outside chatter. At some point you have to go inward, and you have to listen to your own heart, and you have to do the things that make you happy, the things that light you up, the things that feel good to you. And I promise you that it is through that, and from that space of doing for you first, that you will be able to show up in the best version to other people. And I have a lot of clients and a lot of just friends in general who aren't clients, but who tell me I don't even know. I don't know what makes me happy. I don't know what lights me up. I don't know what I enjoy. Start with what you don't. A lot of times recognizing what we don't like is the very first step in connecting with what we do. So say you hate your job. What is it about your job that you hate? Is it the micromanagement? Is it the lack of organization? Is it poor communication? Because chances are, if you don't care for something, like let's just use poor communication. Say you're like, oh my gosh, I can't stand how the managers at my company do not communicate. They don't communicate with each other. They don't communicate with us. Awesome. So, excuse me, what is important to you? Pardon me. Is communication important to you, right? So having open lines of communication in this particular analogy is what's important to you. Great. So that's knowing something that you love. Awesome. Say that you lose track of all time when you're talking to one particular girlfriend. Great. What is it about her? What kind of conversations does she have with you, or do you have with her, that get you lit up and totally excited? Do you enjoy writing? Do you enjoy painting? Do you enjoy playing with children, sitting with adults, telling stories, reading, singing, dancing? Pay attention. And if you don't know, if you're like, I literally have no clue, if somebody asking you, what do you enjoy? What lights you up? What do you do for fun? And if your answer is, I don't know, I've been there. I have, not that long ago. Try things on and just see. Try different things on. Pick up a book, see if you like reading. Turn on some music, see if you like singing. What are your favorite movies? Right? What brings you joy? What makes you laugh? These are really easy first steps for you to tap into your joy. And my next invitation to you is to deeply understand that you choosing you is a gift for other people. Here's what became very clear to me is that I personally care about other people. I actually care what other people think about me because I care about other people. And so their opinions of me, they really do matter. Like they really do make a difference to me. I really do want to take them into consideration, but only after I've discerned what feels good in my heart. Because what's important to me comes first. And what I have learned to be true is that if I'm living from a place and speaking and teaching from a place of things that are important to me and things that I am passionate about, other people are going to get on board. Now, obviously, some people aren't. And ultimately, that is okay. You know, there are so many people that are out there, so many coaches and teachers and speakers and trainers. And it is incredibly important that you find somebody that resonates with you. And I like me. And so I'm okay if my message or my delivery or like my kind of rough edges or my dog barking, quite frankly, if that bothers you, then I'm not the one for you because, you know, this is where I live and this is the environment that I'm in. And Abby is a big part of my life and she doesn't care if I'm doing a training and I'm not going to hit stop. And that for me is how I do care deeply. I hope that she didn't bother you. But at the same time, I don't give a fuck if she did. Because my message and what is on my heart to get out and to speak to you is bigger than her barking. And what I know 100%, what I'm so clear on in the depths of my soul is that when you have a purpose that is bigger than you, when you have something that is more important to you, you will be pulled forward. You don't have to force the activity. You'll be like, it'll be like for me, there's like a magnet on my heart and it literally is like drawing me forward into this work and into this conversation. And, you know, the obstacles, they literally don't matter because for me, I am committed to showing up for you in the most perfectly imperfect of ways. And I believe that there are people out there who need to hear that message. And while I care about everyone, I only give a fuck about y'all that are resonating with this, that need to hear this, that need to have somebody tell you, hey, show up as who you are right now in this moment. Show up unprepared. Show up perfect. Show up. And when I say perfect, I mean like imperfectly so. Like show up. Just show up. Hit the record button. I was talking with a client earlier today and I was like, Mama, you got to get on video. People have to hear your passion. And I love to write. I'm a writer. I'm actually starting on my very first book. Very exciting. I love to write in my blog. I love to write poetry. Like I love writing. And I believe that you can discern the emotion of somebody through their words. Like I 100% believe that. But there is something really special and super magical about hearing someone's voice. And so hit record, man, get on camera, listen to yourself, even if you don't share it with anybody else. Speak about what lights you up and what makes you excited. And this is like happiness tips from somebody who spent like 39 years of her life totally not happy. I was out in LA last week and I was in between. I had two coaching events. I had a retreat with the master coaches that I am a part of with my coach, Sean. And then I had a few days and then I had another retreat around like evolving and kind of the whole like unbecoming and unleashing of our core selves. And in those few days, I had the opportunity to visit with college friends. And some of these were friends that, I mean, I've only seen one time in like a 20-year period. And I remember I was out at Santa Monica Pier with a friend of mine, and he asked me, and I'm not going to get his words exactly right, but the gist of it was like, hey, were you unhappy in college? Like, did you really feel that way when we were in school? Um, and I did. And I think it's really easy. And I think there are a lot of us out there that put on masks and to we pretend to be something that we're not, and we pretend to feel something that we're not really feeling, because we don't want to hurt other people's feelings and we don't want to make other people uncomfortable, or because we don't believe that it's socially acceptable or that people will like get who we are or how we want to show up, whether it's in our businesses or whether it's sexually or whether it's with our gender or whether it's with our work or our family or whatever. We hide and we shrink because we don't want to make other people uncomfortable. And that's where the I don't give a fuck comes in. Because while I do care deeply about you and about humans in general, at a deep level in my core, I have so much love and so much caring. But I am no longer willing to put a cork in it, to be quiet, to not speak up, to not be like authentically honest and real about what's going on with me and what I see going on with you, for fear that it's going to make you uncomfortable. I'm in this. I'm not through. I am fiercely passionate about guiding other people while I travel. And if you need somebody to advocate for you, if you need someone to fight for you until you gain the courage and the strength to fight for yourself, send me a message. Let me know. I would love to talk with you. I'd love to see if we would be a fit to potentially coach together or just at least have a conversation. I'd love to see if there's anything that I could do to serve you, or just stay connected and stay plugged into the message, because I need you to understand that you're not alone. And I need you to understand that happiness is possible on the other side of where you might be right now. Thank you so much for listening. Abby seems like she might be ready to have another barking fit. I don't want to put y'all through that again. My friends, I'm so grateful that you're here. I appreciate you taking the time to watch, and I look forward to coming to you more soon. Take care. Bye now.